There is a moment that arrives quietly in older age, not in a dramatic way, not with tears or conflict, not in a moment of crisis, but through a slow, soft realization that grows year after year. It happens somewhere after 60, sometimes after 70, sometimes earlier, sometimes later. The moment you understand you carry entire conversations in your heart that never reach your children's ears. Not because you don't trust them, not because you don't love them, not because you don't want closeness, but because something in the dynamic has shifted. Your children have become adults with their own worlds. Worlds full of schedules, deadlines, commutes, mortgages, bills, parenting struggles, and a kind of exhaustion no one warned them adulthood would bring. And somewhere inside that constant rush, you, the person who once shaped their whole universe, begin to stand quietly at the edges of their life. Older adults feel this deeply, but silently. There are things they wish they could tell their children, but don't. Not because they lack the courage, but because they don't want to sound emotional, or needy, or dramatic, or old-fashioned. So the heart learns to hold the words instead. In this gentle space, let us finally speak the truths older adults have carried alone for years. Truths shaped by aging, softened by love, whispered inside American kitchens, Canadian porches, British living rooms, suburban homes, senior apartments, and quiet bedrooms where parents lie awake, thinking about children who now see the world through different eyes. Let's walk slowly, tenderly, honestly. These are the words older adults wish they could tell their children, but often never do. Older adults miss their children in ways that words struggle to express. They don't miss the rushed version of you, the one calling while driving, the one dropping by between errands, the one juggling work deadlines while half listening. They miss the essence of you, the presence, the closeness, the effortless connection that once existed without scheduling it. In the US, UK, and Canada, families often live far apart. Children move across states and provinces, chasing opportunities, building careers, raising families. Distance becomes normal. Life becomes crowded. Parents learn to adjust. But missing isn't about miles. It's about moments. It's walking past a framed photo and remembering who you used to be. It's hearing a familiar song and feeling memory rise like a tide. It's eating dinner alone and remembering the noise that once filled that same room. A 76-year-old father from Michigan said, "My son is alive and well, but sometimes the missing feels like grief. Not grief of death, grief of distance." What older adults wish they could say is simple. I miss you, not because you did anything wrong, but because life carried you into a world that no longer has the space for me it once had. They don't need hours. They don't need grand gestures. Just presence. Even 15 minutes where the heart remembers it still belongs somewhere. American, Canadian, and British culture teach independence so deeply that it becomes second nature. I don't want to interfere. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to worry you. Older adults see how stretched their children already are. Rising bills, childcare struggles, overtime shifts, health appointments, stressful workplaces, expensive housing, constant demands. They see the tiredness in their children's eyes and think, how could I add my worries to that? So they stay quiet. They downplay pain. They hide symptoms. They tell the doctor, I'm fine. They tell their children, it's nothing. They eat alone and pretend they prefer it. They face long nights and pretend they slept well. A 72-year-old woman in London said, I share only 10% of my problems. The other 90% stays with me so my children can breathe. Older adults wish they could tell their children, I need support sometimes, not solutions, not money, just someone who listens. But I stay silent because I don't want to add weight to your world. It's not deception, it's love. This is something adult children rarely notice. Life at 35 or 45 moves like a rushing river. Kids, chores, deadlines, texts, errands, distractions, responsibilities that never end. But life for a 65 or 75-year-old moves differently now. Slower, quieter, more reflective, more spacious. And because the pace is different, silence feels louder to older adults. A week of no calls feels like a month. A canceled visit echoes for days. A rushed conversation lingers longer than you think. This isn't fragility. It's contrast. Older adults live in quieter homes now. Homes where days stretch, where hours blend, where footsteps are few. Children and grandchildren used to fill the space. Now the ticking of a clock does. And in that quieter world, even small connections feel large. What they wish they could say is, "Your world is full. Mine is quieter." That's why every moment from you means more than you realize. Time feels different when you age, slower, deeper, more emotional. Many older adults feel like spectators in their children's worlds, not intentionally left out, but gradually shifted to the sidelines. They hear updates instead of sharing moments. They receive pictures instead of presents. They join holidays but miss the simple, everyday living that once connected everyone. A mother from Toronto said, "My children love me, but sometimes I feel like a visitor in their world, not a part of it." Older adults pretend not to notice when the family goes somewhere without inviting them, when decisions are made without their input, when plans happen without their knowledge. They pretend because they don't want their children to feel guilty. But inside, the quiet truth remains. I don't need to be in everything. I just want to feel like I still belong. They don't want to be the priority, just included enough to feel remembered. Aging brings clarity in unexpected ways. Parents remember the moments they wish they could rewrite, the times they yelled, the times they were too tired to listen, the moments they misread their children's hurt, the years they were overwhelmed or stressed or struggling themselves. They remember the choices they regret, the misunderstandings that linger, the times their best simply wasn't enough. Older adults hold these regrets quietly because they fear reopening old wounds. They fear bringing up the past might create tension. They fear their children won't understand the apology. So the apology lives inside them. What they wish they could say is heartfelt. "If I ever made you feel unloved, I'm sorry. If I ever missed your pain, I'm sorry. I was learning life too. I loved you through every mistake." This is not guilt. It is a longing to make peace with time, a hope that their children truly know the love beneath every imperfect moment. This is something children forget. Inside every older adult is someone who still feels 30, someone who still wants to laugh, to feel alive, to be seen as capable, to be treated with dignity, to be asked instead of managed, to be included instead of protected like fragile glass. Older adults wish they could tell their children, "I am aging, but I have not disappeared underneath these years." They want respect, not overprotection. They want conversations, not assumptions. They want involvement, not pity. They want autonomy, not being handled. In North America, aging can sometimes feel like fading into the background. But older adults are not fading. They are becoming deeper, emotionally wiser, spiritually richer, more reflective than ever before. Their hearts still feel. Their spirits still dream. Their inner world still burns bright. Age may change the body, but it doesn't shrink the soul. This truth is often misunderstood. When older adults withdraw, it's rarely because they've lost interest or stopped caring. It's often the opposite. They pull back to protect their children, from worry, from responsibility, from guilt, from feeling obligated. A 78-year-old man from Alberta said, "I stopped telling my daughter everything, not because I don't trust her, but because I don't want her to worry all day." Older adults step back so their children can focus on their own families, careers, health, and survival. They distance themselves not to create space, but to free their children from pressure. What they wish they could say is, "If you feel me pulling away, it's not rejection. It's me loving you in the only way I know how, by not adding weight to your life." But inside, they hope for something gentle. "Reach for me anyway." Older adults carry entire stories inside them, stories children rarely hear. Not because parents refuse to speak, but because love teaches them to stay quiet when their children are already overwhelmed by life. They miss their children fiercely. They worry quietly. They hope constantly. They forgive endlessly. They love deeply. They remember everything. They hide their fears. They soften their truths. They carry decades of emotions no one asks about. And in the quiet of later life, one wish rises above all. I hope you know how much you matter to me. I hope you know I still need you. Gently, quietly, emotionally. Not for tasks, but for connection. I hope you know that even if I don't say much anymore, my love for you never learned how to fade. Before this moment ends, let me ask softly, if you are an older adult, what is something you wish your children understood, truly understood, about your heart? And if you're listening as a child, perhaps now is a meaningful moment to reach out. A message, a call, even a small reminder of love. Older hearts still feel everything. Thank you for listening with such openness. This is Elder Wisdom Stories, and I'm grateful you're here.